Inside some of these old televisions can be as much as 10 to 12 pounds of lead, cadmium, and other elements in the cathode ray tubes. But what has some advocates concerned are the methods that these recycling companies are using to remove those elements. Whether you're in the market to buy a new home or a new car these days, you're probably running into the same problem, and that's getting a loan. That's because lenders for both the auto and home industries are all tangled up in the same web. At graduation, new firefighters receive a new black helmet, symbolizing the transition from recruit to firefighter. While the chief normally performs this task, Erin Gardner will be receiving her helmet from her mother. In Fairfax County, Brandis Griffith, ABC 7 News. Sheridan appeared before federal magistrate Judge John Forrester here at federal court. Almost 300 beds sit empty in the Pulaski County Detention Center. So how are police officers and sheriff's deputies making up for not having a place to take the people they would arrest? And you can see why. 2 tornadoes have cut through this county, including an F3 did the damage here. Those cutbacks are taking a toll on law enforcement officers, sometimes unable to bring their suspects here to jail. Cousins Bethany Silversmith and Lexi Klein are 2 well-connected teens. In fact, their cell phones ring so often.
I should probably put this on vibrate, right?
The noise not only interrupts our interview, but also keeps them up at night.
Since I've had a BlackBerry, I end up waking up a lot more because it's vibrating.
The constant stream of technology is posing serious questions.
I could probably get a couple hours of sleep extra some nights. If it weren't for the computer.
A poll from the National Sleep Foundation said teens with 4 or more electronic items in their bedrooms were twice as likely to fall asleep in school. And the newly released Kaiser report shows reducing TV time for 14 to 16-year-olds led to fewer sleep problems between ages 16 and 22. Experts say a bright screen might affect sleep hormones.
Light exposure when you're on the computer late at night, when you should be exposed to dark and your brain responds to those cues, can make it more difficult to fall asleep at an appropriate time.
Do these start here? Yes, they do. So I can put these on?
The kids at this Smithsonian summer camp are using technology to learn.
Well, right now we're trying to figure out a way to push windmills and cars.
But at home, these parents say that's where they lay down the rules to get kids to lie down.
So I've stopped. I start saying to them, you know, you can't play any video games or any computer games until 9 a.m. and they sleep later.
10:30 Friday morning, Little Rock police received the call. A man with a knife has taken a sheriff's deputy hostage inside the courthouse.
It assigned him for the 14th division and needs to go to 17.
Soon the building is shut down and employees are evacuated. Terrar Ledbetter had been having a normal morning.
It was scary. Yeah, not knowing what was going on downstairs, and it was just something that close underneath us.
On the bottom floor of the courthouse, police say 29-year-old jail inmate Alonzo Gilliam III used a shank or a homemade knife to pull 55-year-old deputy Joyce May inside this control room. Negotiators moved in as sheriff's deputies surrounded the room.
It's a fairly tight area, small, secure, many deputies coming and going all the time because of that's where they transport people from that holding facility up to the various courts.
Slowly, deputies were replaced by Little Rock SWAT officers, all charged with protecting the life of one of their own.
Whether it be a sheriff's office, Little Rock police, whoever it is, it's always upsetting. So we take not only that situation very seriously, but anytime we have a person being held against their will, it's serious. So it is disturbing.
But 45 minutes after it all began, it was all over. Police say Gilliam gave up peacefully.
Basically, they just told him that this situation is endless. You have as many officers around, you're in a holding facility, that we're not going to let you harm the deputy.
Sheriff's deputies say it all started when Gilliam was in the process of being transported to a court hearing on charges of terroristic act and robbery, both out of North Little Rock. And deputies aren't sure how he got the weapon.
Right, they make them out of toothbrushes, any sharp metal pieces they find. Someone could give it to him at the courthouse today. We don't know that information yet.
And whatever charges Gilliam faced before, the list just got longer. Earlier today, crews of volunteers did assemble in this area so they could start putting this community back together. You can see where workers have been working on this business pretty much all day long, organizing some of the debris where, of course, it wasn't like this Sunday after those storms hit. Most of those volunteers and workers have started to knock off since nightfall is on the way. Now, the governor says that he has not declared any disaster areas just yet, but he's still working with county officials to determine which way to go next. This is where a family of 4 hid out as an F3 tornado took aim at their house Sunday night.
I showed my daughter and my wife up against the tub and up in between the toilet and the tub, And I got on top of them and hugged them and covered them. And it all came down on top of me and pinned us in there. So.
Thomas Cole says he moved his family to Arkansas to escape the California earthquakes.
We moved here for our kids' safety, and this is what we get.
Now all that's left of his home is its foundation. After a view from the air,
at Sardis, you had, almost 100 houses that had some damage, is that right? Or?
Governor Mike Huckabee touched down in Sardis to see the damage himself, including Thomas Cole's home.
What you saw in Garland County were punches of damage, and once you get to Perry County, then you could follow a clear path along through the forest and see where the trees had just been snapped off like toothpicks, and the devastation was very, very clear and evident.
Conway County is one of 7 that have declared disaster areas. In this county, a tornado traveling at least a quarter of a mile damaged almost 200 homes, destroying about a dozen. The governor says now he and those counties are working together to clean up and find temporary housing for those who need it.
We're blessed that we didn't have even more injuries and fatalities.
I do really believe what saved a lot of folks. There were several folks that were at church. They weren't at home.
Although Thomas Cole says when the time comes for more permanent housing, it won't be here. The governor says that his office is still assessing some of the damage reports that are coming in from the county, so it'll be another few days before deciding whether or not the state has met the requirements to be declared a state disaster area, possibly freeing up some federal assistance money.